and maybe even after quarantine, even after COVID, uh, getting used to different forms of tournaments and events. But before the meat and bones of it all, short introduction. Who am I? Before I was certified last June in 2019, I have I was already very much ingrained in the esports community. I've been a League of Legends coach since 2015, with experience in professional leagues, amateur leagues, collegiate leagues, and pretty much everything in between. What this means is that I've gone through a lot of tournaments, both offline and online, and I've helped organize and fix quite a few tournaments for different video games. I have also just sort of filled in different roles in tournaments. I think pretty much every role that you could think of for an online tournament, I've done it. So when we talk about online tournaments, how do we start? I think before anything else, we should start with you, or rather with us. Judges, as we all know, have to take a very, very active role in the community. Judges are the face of live events. Online, however, things change quite a bit. We get a bit of a role reversal. Online, the platform shifts. Now the players don't see you. Quite often, they don't even hear you. The platform and or the game client, now they're the face. Now they're doing the heavy lifting. When the players think of the organizers, they don't think of the judges anymore if it's online. They think Magic the Gathering Arena. They think Mogul. Because that's just how it is. That's fine. The thing is now, what these things do for us is that if things are going well, we'll end up being a bit bored. Because a well set up event practically just runs itself. It it moves smoother, it goes well, and it helps us ease the process online. But how do you ensure that it runs smoothly in the first place? How do you take a look at the events and how do you make things run well in the first place? It's difficult for us because we're used to doing things live. Not all of us are used to using technology. Not all of us are used to doing things online, right? Well, first of all, we have to understand the platforms. Uh, is anyone familiar with these logos? You should be familiar with at least two of these logos if you've been judging for a while, if you've been playing Magic the Gathering for a while. You have the Magic the Gathering online logo and the Magic the Gathering Arena logo. Alongside them are challenge.com and mogul.gg, which are two very, very popular common platforms for fixing brackets. And these different platforms, they can go together, they can go with each other. There are a lot of different configurations and ways to go about it. All of them have their own ups and downs. All of them are very usable, and none of them are any less valid than the rest. The point is that you have to understand the platforms that you're using. You have to understand that Magic the Gathering Online and Magic the Gathering Arena have different card sets, they have different limitations, and you have to find the strengths for each one. Magic the Gathering Arena and Magic the Gathering Online, they both really smooth out issues with rulings. They both help you and help the players play a bit more efficiently, a bit more effectively online. Challenge and Mogul will make your brackets for you. They'll fix your Swiss pairings for you. They automate the process to make things easier. You have to use the strengths of the platform. You have to see what they do well. The more important thing isn't necessarily that it's easier for you. It's more important that it's easy for the players. Next, you have to know the limitations of your platform. It's really in knowing what you can and can't cover that we get to go above and beyond. As judges, I feel like we have a duty to the players and to the community to try our best to give the best to give the best experience possible. And this is where we can sort of shine. It's all right that the platform has limitations because we're here to exceed expectations. By understanding our platforms and what they're just outright incapable of doing, we can be prepared to cover more common issues. And that's the key, really, preparation. To prepare for it, you have to remember that it's not like a normal event. You can't approach it like you would an F&M. You don't expect similar problems to your regular PR. I'm sure everybody's aware. Drafting is pretty straightforward and easy in person, but online it's a lot more complicated when somebody disconnects because of a power outage. It's a lot more difficult. So, how do we deal with that? First of all, you have to review your rule set. Again, there are a lot of considerations that you might have to take into account for online tournaments. Consider provisions for resolving issues with network connectivity, tardiness, uh, working around time schedules. We all know that there's a different or there are additions to the MTR when it comes to Magic the Gathering Arena. There are changes there because the online platform poses a few more considerations for us as judges, as potential tournament organizers, when it comes to fixing these things. And it's something that we have to try to think about beforehand. Next, make sure you have good lines of communication between not just all of the judges, but more importantly, the players and the organizers. It is crucial that whenever they need to talk to you, you are there just like that. There are a lot of ways to do this. Discord, what we're using right now, is one of them. It can be quite effective because, for example, right now I can just add admin and Felix will see that right away. If I tag the presenters, then the relevant people will also see that. Having these quick and easy ways to get the attention of the people that need to be looking at the problem will help the players and the other team members smooth out any issues, even as they come up. Finally, you don't really need to ask for a lot of information from the players. Make sure you understand what's needed, and you don't really try to get more from them beyond that. Don't overcomplicate things. You don't have to create a lot of different systems, especially when you already have a very, very decent and workable platform, as we discussed earlier. The tournament should be easy for both you and the player. Now, after this, after preparing for the tournament, it comes to actually talking to the players, right? It comes to communicating effectively online, and that's quite difficult. Right now, I have the benefit of being able to use my voice to tell you these things. How I talk and how I present this very, very effectively. But as judges working on an event, we're used to seeing things. We're used to a visual simulation. We're used to very clear body language. But without a uniform, without non-verbal cues online, they can't really tell how things are sometimes. This is how we appear to them. We're a name and text. That's just how it is. Without a uniform, without our posture, without our name tags, we're just another person online. Exactly. They can't see us. So what do we do? Judges are professionals at the end of the day. We know what we're doing. So how do we show that online? The thing is, all we have are our messages. That's why we have to be very careful and we have to be sure of what we say online. Make sure you don't rush into saying anything. Kelvin mentioned this earlier. It's very, very important, especially online. I'm not saying that you have to second guess everything that you say. I'm not saying that it's okay to take 10 minutes to answer a question. But it's important to make sure you're saying exactly what needs to be said. I like to take a look at the three C's of communication right now. The three C's are as follows. First, there's clarity. Then there's consistency. And there's confidence. So let's just go about, let's go through them again with a bit more explanation. There's clarity, there has to be clarity in the sense that procedures are clean and the rules are outlined. Everything that the players need to know have to be cleanly written out somewhere. They have to be easily understood. It's imperative that we get the message across. Next, consistency. We already know this to a certain extent because when we judge, it's not like we give a different ruling for the same things. It's a very similar situation where the same situation should always warrant the same or a similar answer. Of course, there are nuances. Of course, there are different considerations. But this is why we have to lean into our rules. This is why we prepare earlier so that we can cover a lot of things. Finally, confidence. Confidence is the way the sentences are structured and things are communicated. You have to say things with certainty. The wonderful thing about doing things online is that you don't have to answer things on the spot. Honestly, sometimes I have a hard time remembering some of the comprehensive rules or the magic tournament rules on the spot. It's not that easy. But online, you don't have an excuse. You can literally have all of the relevant documents in front of you. You can be in a group chat with your team. You can be in a group chat with judges outside of your team. If you're not sure of something, if you're not certain that what you're going to say is accurate, you can double check. And that's fine. You can even tell the person, you can even tell the players that you want to make sure. Because you can't afford to tell them something that's inaccurate. And online, there should be little to no excuse for this. That's sort of the key, really, is making sure we prepare the tournament properly and that we communicate effectively. So, in summary, yes, this is quite a short presentation. Some final thoughts and recommendations. First of all, remember proper preparation perfects the process. Do your research on the platforms. Fix the things that need to be fixed beforehand. There's a lot of pre work that needs to be done on these things, and that's fine. If you do your work properly before the event starts, you'll find that it runs so much smoother. And what's great is, very often, if you do a lot of work now, you can transfer this work to later events, to future events, so that you'll have to do less and less as time goes by. Next, availability and reliability mean reputability. Being there, being accessible, and knowing what you say means that the players will get a good sense. They'll feel good about what's going on. They will like how the tournament runs. They're not always going to be talking to you. So it's important that whenever they do, that when they need to, you are immediately there and that you know what you're saying. Finally, keep communication clear between both collaborators and constituents. Talk to your team, talk to the players, and do it well. Try to cut down on a lot of noise. Try to make sure everybody knows what's going on. It's in properly talking to each other and properly communicating with the players that we're able to run smooth events, that we're able to run excellent events. Thank you very much. That is my short presentation. Uh, I'm open to questions right now if you have any. And yeah, questions, some clarifications, other things as well. It can be quite difficult to do the research to get used to certain platforms, but it's not impossible. And you can also ask for help from some of your friends. I guess an example of that would be Felix asked for my assistance here, and I set up a Discord for the C conference series. It takes a bit of a setup, but once things are going, you can really have a bit of an easier time. I think it's important if you want to get staffed for an online event to show that you know how to handle online events. I mean, if you communicate that you know how to interface with what they need to use, if they need people that are good with Discord, if they need people that are good with Magic Online, you have to be able to tell them that you are proficient in those things. I feel like a lot of people look more for these core skills at the beginning, and it's kind of difficult to get to invest time in it. But these are also skills that once you put under your resume, once you get used to them, you don't really lose them. I think the biggest challenge would really be understanding, uh, understanding not just the platforms, but also understanding that you can't treat it the same way because the situation changes and we're already used to live events. It can be very, very frustrating to have less feedback. Yeah, the thing is, I understand it. I mean, we're all probably used or more used to having a face to face interaction with people. The thing is, you can't expect the same situation online. You can't expect the same situation with things like this. It's the same with distance learning. You know, you have to cut down the times, you have to change how you present things, you have to change how you talk, and you have to be a bit more open with how you interpret things. Like Kelvin was saying earlier with his presentation, sometimes the source of conflict is really just miscommunication. So it's really, really important to try your best to understand things better. All right, I think that's it. Thank you everybody for your time. I was just saying, I hope that wasn't too quick for everybody. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Red, for sharing your presentation, and we're giving everyone
Thank you,
12
Have.
minute break.